Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Juniors, seniors, colleagues, peers. I hope everyone is fine. And here I am about to discuss another new topic, the knowledge, skills, and behavior required by HRM professionals. Actually, as I understand, HRM is a distinct and unique branch of people management. If that's the case, which I do understand, we are a distinct profession. We have our own knowledge, skills, and behavior, which has grown over a period of time. We have to demonstrate those knowledge, skills, and behavior to enhance our credibility. So here, my friends, let me start, and I wish everyone is having a good time. And if you have the time, I hope all of you are enjoying the World Cup football. Okay, so let's start, my friends. In contemporary times, human resource management has become a distinct branch of applied people management discipline. The focus of HRM is not only about efficiency and effectiveness of human resource management. It is also about aligning our activities, HRM activities, to the core objectives of the organization. But before that, we should know our basic knowledge. We should know or have a comprehensive idea of what HRM is about, which I've termed as HRM knowledge, skills, and behavior. HRM knowledge refers to a knowledge-based HRM approach. By HRM knowledge, I mean a knowledge based on HRM approach. Knowledge-based HRM approach is basically all the HRM interventions, decisions, actions based on HRM knowledge that has been well researched, tested, and applied in the real world. I repeat, knowledge based HRM approach is basically all the HRM interventions, decisions, and actions based on HRM knowledge that have been well researched, tested, and applied in the commercial and non commercial world. HRM knowledge is primarily derived from the following disciplines: psychology, sociology, management, law, economics, philosophy, statistics, finance, and so on. HRM knowledge can be implicit or explicit, but both are of great significance. We have to demonstrate our knowledge according to our level within the organization. I've divided HR knowledge into three parts, and basically, this concept has come from CIPD London. Basically, HR knowledge is divided into three parts: employee resourcing, employee development, employee relations. I repeat, HR knowledge is divided into three parts: employee resourcing, employee development, employee relations. Now, let's talk about employee resourcing. What does it comprise of? What does this knowledge comprise of? It comprises of a number of elements. For example, recruitment and selection. Every HRM professional must know the grammar or the basics of recruitment and selection. If I have time, I'll discuss this topic in great length in another episode. But remember, recruitment and selection is not the same. And at the same time, HRM professionals will have to have the commercial knowledge and apply the recruitment and selection knowledge in the commercial world from the HRM perspective. We also have to have sound knowledge of what induction is. Induction is another topic of employee resourcing. A newcomer comes, you'll have to discuss a few elements. For example, history of the organization, culture of the organization, terms and conditions of employment. It needs to be discussed with the new employee. For the employee to be, for the employee to take it easy because it's a new organization, he or she needs to know the culture, a little about the culture of the organization, a little about the history, a little about the products and services, and the terms and conditions of employment. And if you have a handbook, it's excellent. We give the handbook, and we don't only give it, we keep a signed copy of it for legal issues. Performance appraisal is another issue which HR professionals have to deal with. Performance appraisals. Performance management. How to measure performance. All performance cannot really be measured, but it is a serious issue in the HRM context, from the HRM context, sorry. Workforce planning is a very important issue, where to deploy the people you've got for optimum efficiency and effectiveness. So remember the concept workforce planning. Culture of the organization. We have to deal with the culture of the organization, directly or indirectly. We are bestowed with the responsibility, directly or indirectly, to deal with the culture of the organization. Again, culture is a huge subject on its own. And if I have the time, I'll discuss culture, because culture, it's a well-researched topic in organizational behavior. Outstanding scholars like Edgar Schein, Charles Handy, and so many other scholars have really concentrated on organizational culture. We cannot ignore this. The culture must be inspiring, but that's not enough. We need to understand, what does inspiration mean related to the organization. We also need to have a good and sound knowledge of motivation and a culture audit. Culture audit can be formal or informal, but we have to understand what the employees are thinking about the organization. We have to understand the morale of the organization. We have to understand whether the culture is inspiring or not? What are the barriers which is causing a problem? These are important issues. These are very, very important issues when you're dealing with employees. Leadership and staff handbook. That also we have to deal with. We have to deal with leaderships and staff handbook. If you don't have one, my friend, concentrate on having one, but with the approval of the top management. Organizational structure. We have to have a sound knowledge of organizational structure. It is also very, very important because it is through the structure that communication takes place within the organization. The next topic which I'll discuss is briefly about organizational development. Employee development. Here, I'm going to first of all take into account identifying the training and learning needs. How am I going to do that? My performance appraisal will guide me to identify learning needs. Designing learning interventions. Once I know what is required by the organization, I take it to the top management for approval, and that will also require budget approval. If that is an issue, yes, every training requires a budget, so that needs also to be approved by the top management. If only the top management understand and realize that learning is important. When we get the approval, we start designing the training intervention. What does designing mean? Selecting the venue, selecting who will be the trainers, selecting who will be the trainees, time factor. We have to take into consideration the time factor. All these things come into the designing stage of the training. And we have to talk with the top management and also the managers, because there is an issue of releasing the employee. So again, here we talk about core employees and non-core employees. Who comes first? Implementation and evaluation of the learning experience. CPD, that's another concept, which is continuous professional development. All HRM persons aspire a learning environment which will lead to a learning organization where the organization learns. We can also take into consideration e-learning. We can also take into consideration external learning by employees, by attending workshops and seminars. All these add value to the employee and the organization. After all, I believe employees are the human capital of the organization. We are not only human capital, we are the intellectual capital of the organization. That's how I see employees. And the top management will also have to understand employees are also a very, very important capital. And learning basically is an intangible capital which cannot be ignored or should not be ignored. We must encourage learning as an HRM professional. But much also depends on the top management. Employee relations. What does it comprise of? It comprises of discipline and grievances within the organization. If we have a if we have a policy, well and good. If not, we need to develop a disciplinary policy and a grievance policy. Terms and conditions of employment. This also comes under employee relations. I'm talking about employee relations, and the main sub elements will be discipline and grievance, terms and conditions of employment, employment law. We have to deal with employment law. We must understand employment law. Reward management, which means about competitive salary and benefits to employees, competitive and fair market value of the employee. So, reward management, talent management is an extraordinary important issue. Talent management. How do you manage talent? What is talent? Again, here we divide the employees into two parts: core employee, non core employee. Both are significant, both are important. I'm not trying to discriminate anybody, but talent management is an issue because, as I repeat, talent has a nature to move around. If you're talented enough, you'll start searching for another job somewhere else. Talent moves. We deal with change is another issue of employee relations, dealing with change. Change itself is a huge topic on its own, well researched. It is a topic of great discussion. Change itself, redundancy, communication policies, code of conduct, corporate governance. We have to understand the corporate governance or the basic corporate governance within our organization. It is very, very important how the organization is managed, how the organization is run. And corporate governance itself is a topic of discussion. Health and safety is another big issue of employee relations. Health and safety of employees. Employee well-being is another significant concept. After all, we need satisfied and happy employees to perform. We have to give them that environment for the employees to perform. Next, briefly, I'll be talking about HRM skills. Skills can be divided into two parts: technical competence and personal competence. Technical competence. What are the elements that comprise of technical competence? Remember, we are talking about HRM only. Here, the HRM professional must have commercial awareness within the sector, knowing the procedures of HRM. These are technical issues within the organization, must have good knowledge of recruitment and selection, must have good knowledge of promotion, must have good knowledge of discipline and grievances, must have good knowledge of the terms and conditions of employment, etc., and so on. But these are technical issues which the HRM must be comfortable with. It'll have to come easily. But for this, we need well suitably qualified HRM professionals. Personal skills. What does that mean? Or personal competence. It means interpersonal skills. We also have to take into consideration interpersonal skills. How people get along with others. How we get along with others. Here we are talking about listening skill, understanding the skills, understanding the language of the employees. Employees also need to understand what we are saying, what we are doing, what is our vision. All these need to be actually shared through a dialogue with the employees. Technical skills. Technical skills, as I said earlier, it comprises of commercial knowledge or the business knowledge within that sector. We have to have legal knowledge, skills related to negotiation, communication, delegation, and influence. The technical HRM skills in all areas of HRM, analytical skills, and good research skills. Remember, HRM professionals will have to do a lot of research, a lot of reading in order to demonstrate credibility. Probing skills and creativity. We have to understand the issues. Observation, reflection, and advisory skills is very important. To be very observant of what's happening. Reflection, we need time to think. And at the same time, we need to advise the top management related to human resource management. The skills of learning and development is also very important. Implementation and evaluation is also extremely important. All these are technical HRM skills. Also, I like to add conflict management is also a significant area of technical knowledge. Counseling skills, mentoring skills, skills related to appraisals. All these are technical skills of the HRM. And HRM will have to provide good and sound knowledge in all these areas. Personal skills, good and acceptable interpersonal skills. We must lead by example. Excellent communication skills. We must have good verbal and non-verbal skills. Or we need to develop our writing skills and oral skills and how to use our body language effectively. Again, communication itself is a huge subject on its own. We also have to demonstrate trustworthiness. Employees will have to trust us We will have to trust employees. We have to build a culture of trust, listening skills, trying to understand perceptions, creativity, diagnostic skills, and advisory skills. Last but not least, investigation skills is also very, very important. Research and investigation skills. These are extremely important issues. Behavior, HR in behavior. We have we have to demonstrate trust and respect. I believe in the concept of mutuality of trust and respect. I respect you, you'll respect me. Simple as that. That's a behavior which comes from respect. Skilled and tactful influencer. There comes a time when I have to influence the top management. I have to persuade the top management of doing something right, which is good for the employees. There's no point saying good. I have to justify what I'm saying by using my using my inf- pers- I have to persuade them top management. It also requires a great skill and behavior. How to persuade someone in the right direction, fairly and justly. Maintaining confidentiality is also a great issue of HR behavior. Ethical behavior is about understanding ethics within the organization. I have to, I myself, I lead by examples. What does that mean? What I'm doing is right for people to follow me. Whatever I do, I'll try to do ethically. Values and professionalism. HRM has certain values. We must understand and respect those values. And professionalism is an extremely important topic. Understanding one's boundaries. What do I mean by boundaries? For example, as an HRM person, my boundary is about HRM. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professional counselor. I may know a little about counseling, but that's not my boundary. Boundary is a very big issue. At times we have to cross our boundaries. There comes a time when we actually have to cross the boundaries. But just be aware that HRM has distinct boundaries. HRM, or human resource management, or let's say strategic human resource management. There's nothing, there's no such difference. It's more is the same. Except obviously there is a difference between strategic human resource management and human resource management. Strategic human resource management is about human resource management dealt strategically at the board level. To conclude, HRM professionals touch the heart and soul of employees, stakeholders, and the community. That is why, that is the reason why HRM is a dynamic, intriguing, and interesting applied discipline because we touch the heart and soul of employees, stakeholders, and the community. We are all customers and customer service providers at any point of time. Putting a lid on a problem is not the solution. My friend, as HR professionals, telling everyone, I'm asking everyone's view. Am I right if I say putting a lid on problem is not the solution? I'm asking all of you. I think we cannot put a lid. We'll have to find out what the problem is about, whether it's a structured problem or unstructured problem, whether it's chronic or not. We have to define the problem, identify the causes of the problem, find out options to overcome the problem, and implement the problem solution. But first of all, I'll have to clearly define what the problem is about. From my sorry, from my years of experience and from my hands-on experience on HRM, we have to confront mostly unstructured problems. That's from my experience. But again, I cannot. I, problems can be structured and unstructured. All problems cannot be defined. That's how it goes. That is the reason why we should be alert, observant, critical, and get involved in any HRM issue. Thank you all. God bless all. Stay calm and stay well. Wherever you are, I wish you all the best. Thank you all. Bye bye.